I am live, and I don't know where Saber just went. There we go. Add to the stream.
I'll tell you what, I've never felt older. I've
Well,
never
you're
felt
here
older
now,
than
so
right
that's a
now.
good thing. That's a good thing. So
Oh,
at least this one will record. I'm sad about the TikTok messing
yeah.
up, but after we do this, I'm gonna go on to TikTok and go live again because currently I'm blocked from
Oh,
posting on TikTok until like August 31st or some shit. I don't know. I'm always saying something to piss somebody off. So
sure.
anyway, so after I do this, I'll go live on TikTok and see if I can get people like to go follow you, so then we can go live on TikTok because it's
Yeah,
such a robust platform to
right.
allow for conversation. So anyhow, let
Hi.
me introduce you. This is Saber of Alchemist Trading Post, and they are a host. I have a list of hosts in the Makeshift Happen Ancestral Healing Group and the network. So this way, people get different views. I don't know why this thing is like so. Okay, there we go. So this way, people get different views and ideas and expertise, right, on certain things. And you deal with like epigenetics and DNA trauma healing and all of that yummy stuff that like I know vaguely, but not deep enough to be like, oh yeah, here, listen to me and pay me for that. So
Well, I mean, the thing is you do know it, and it's funny because genetics that podcast that we did your Let's Have a Conversation podcast, which is amazing. People check that out. But I don't really consider myself like an expert or a master on it. It's something that's very fascinating to me. It's something that kind of it's like proving what the spiritual community has known. And so, you do shadow work with people,
yeah,
and that's really all that the healing is ultimately is
it's
really
all shadow
having
work.
right. And it's like having a really good foundation for that and like really being able to like solidly have legs to stand on and to support yourself while you're going through the shit. Because shadow work isn't fun. And it's this whole like trendy topic now. But people realize like it will change your life. You will lose like,
But you are
things
going to be
change.
so uncomfortable.
Yes. I love
So
it.
uncomfortable. I tell people that I'm like, it's not trendy. This is not like, oh, I'm gonna light a black and white candle, do a road opening spell, and here comes shadow work. This is like, yeah, I'm about to tear my whole life apart. I'm about to cry, scream, grieve, and like when you're putting all those pieces together, though, it's beautiful, right? Because it's
Right.
your whole self. But in the interim, it is not grand work. It is not.
Right. It's not like this fun, and it's something that is definitely made more challenging when you have children, as you know. It's made more challenging if you're caring for somebody. It's more challenging if you're, um, if you have 2, 3 jobs and you work 90 hours a week just to exist because we
Yeah.
have to have space to like heal and process shit that comes up. So for some people, it's really slow. But that's why I like the perspective of including the processing in every day so that we don't have to create more trauma on top of the trauma and the historical ancestral trauma that we have to
I
deal with.
fully agree. That's why, like, so with our group that we have, like, I'm doing it over 6 months, right? Because, like, it's not like,
Mm-hmm.
here's some ancestral healing, light a candle, get a picture of your ancestors, and you're done. Like, no, there's some steps to this. You need to decolonize a little. You need to do
Mm-hmm.
some DNA healing. You need some inner child healing. That's the month after you with Shamika. Then we're doing like sound healing with Leah and Corey. And then we're like, oh no, I'm sorry, I skipped that. October is then when we do the ancestral veneration. That's when I'm going to teach
Yes.
like altar placements and all of that stuff. Then the sound healing. And then the last month is literally just integration. Let's just rest. Let's just process everything that we've done. Like, you
Yes.
can't, this idea to me of like healing in this vacuum, like it should just happen ASAP, is just another
Right.
product of capitalization, right? Be productive, do it, get it done now, hurry, speed up. You better hurry up and heal. It's
Right.
like, no. This work took me 10 years to figure out before I even started saying, okay, I'm gonna charge somebody. Literally a decade.
So
Literally,
hard.
this is a
Right. This is
weekend workshop. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So
It's a
yeah,
lifetime. it's a practice, right? Like a practice is something you do often, every day, preferably. Yep.
And for the rest of your life. Like what this
Mm-hmm.
is setting us up for is really just to awaken ourselves to do
Mm-hmm.
it daily forever. There, it's
That's
not like I said, it's not a road opening spell and you're done. It's not a picture of
right.
your grandma and a white candle and we call it a day. It is
Right.
opening yourselves to some deep, deep healing and allowing that space to be like, oh, wow, this is real.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask you like just ideas on like exactly what is the trauma that gets passed down like ancestrally and how do we heal that?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, just a really basic concept of epigenetics. It's best on the DNA. You knew that because I told you before, but not everybody in the stream maybe knows that. So it's basically our ancestors, like our blood ancestors, their traumas, their strengths. We don't just download our eye color. We don't just, have the same mole as our, great great aunt Sid. You know, it's also
Exactly.
personality traits. The way that we raise our children perpetuates that. The way that we, exist in life. I'm kind of obsessed in the last 3 years and have like gone down this rabbit hole learning about adoptees and foster situations, just like from adults that have experienced it themselves. And what I have heard over multiple podcasts or books over is people who, if they do get the chance to meet their birth families and they have been raised away from them, have symptoms, not symptoms, have things that they do, mannerisms and ways that they talk, that mirror. And it's this mirroring that humans need so badly to not have the trauma, from that. Anyway, it's just really interesting to see how it like
Your
correlates no
connection is
matter
a
what.
little choppy, so go a little slower.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
What
I
did
just
you
want you to
miss?
go slow. No, it all came through, but it's coming through choppy, which is okay. I just want it to be done slower if it's going to be choppy, so I'm not like trying to what, huh?
Heard. I'll reel it in a little bit. I'm just so excited. I've been like building up to this for 2 months.
I know. I love it. But good. I'm listening.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really interesting how like even if you are raised away from your birth family, there's so many ways in which it, it's so obvious that it still comes through. Um,
I lost that last part.
it's so obvious that it comes through.
Oh yeah, like I notice
Yeah.
little small things, right? Like I sit and I do this all the time, and I'm like, but and my mom did it like all the time. So I know a part of that is also having seen her, but before I recognized that this was her thing, or like sitting like this, I would feel it. Does that make
Mm,
sense? Like I'm
mm,
like, why does
mm,
this feel so familiar? And I had to kind of go back and be like, oh yeah,
mm.
she did always sit like that in a very specific way, like it wasn't just like it was in a very specific. Um,
Yeah.
and when you do start doing those things, you recognize some stuff that comes up in your body, and you're like,
Yeah.
but this didn't happen to me, even, right? Like,
Mm,
why am I activated by this, right? Because I try to stay away from the word triggered because that really should
mm,
stay with like people that are diagnosed with PTSD.
mm.
We use a lot of, words a little too loosely for my.
I'm gonna shift my language to that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Like, so we get like activated, agitated, aggravated, and we don't
Mm,
know what
mm,
this is in our body, right? And it comes up, and it's definitely something that has been passed down. Like you said, like if you can get eye color, why have we stopped there? And now the scientific community is coming into what we've been saying in the spiritual community since the
forever.
beginning of time. There's like astral projection and like dream travel. And I'm like, oh, really? Did you just discover that? Wild, isn't it?
CIA has been
So
using that for 100 years.
I'm just amazed. But I will say on a positive note with that is that I really do appreciate because I value the blending of the spirituality and the science, right? I have a
Mm,
friend of mine
mhm,
who is a somatic therapist. And like, I'm always going to her, like, okay, this is what I'm going to tell the client to do. And she turns around, she's like, you want to know why that works? And I'm like, yes, yes, I do.
Fuck
And
yes.
so our goal is one day to do like a healing workshop with that too. Like my idea is like, what did I call it? Um, the science of the woo, right? Because like,
Mm.
you like that? You like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. Because there is science. There is a space for both to exist, right? Like
Yes.
there is definitely, and it needs to exist. It's like I like my herbs and medicines. I also like, I like the way this gabapentin hits. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh, it's a miracle drug. It
exactly. I
really
firmly
is. It really
Absolutely. So,
is.
I don't want to discount science, but I also don't want to discount spirituality and finding that space.
Yeah.
And as we move into this month, it's really a big month. Lionsgate is opening. So manifestation and kind of like the things that you really want to bring forward are so possible during this moment in time. And thinking about that kind of healing, we were speaking about it in the group on the last Zoom as I was ending my reign in the space. And like, it's really important when you're like the black sheep, when you're the code breaker, to do this work, right? Because you're going to heal backwards and forward,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if
Right.
you heal those spaces, like if like, okay, that means like I'm gonna raise my children in a different way. So that's already
Yes.
shifting certain patterns and genetic codes, and they're not coming up with that, right? So like when they
Right.
have children, that coding starts shifting. It's the same like
Mm-hmm.
it's breeding, really. Like as gross as that sounds and that term is, you're really kind of like you're healing out that painful breeding, that breeding
Mm-hmm.
of, oppression, colonization,
Mm-hmm.
that victimization, the traumas of everything that's happened since forever when we all lost ourselves, and kind of finding yourself again brings that deeper healing, and then you pass it forward. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Wholeheartedly. Piece that. I mean, the science aspect at the beginning of your statement was, it's so true. I work with anybody. So I work with atheists, I work with Christians, Mennonites. I've worked with, just pretty much everybody. Um, and it's fun. One of my biggest triumphs, I think, is helping atheists learn how to recall their souls. The first time I'm still got the goosebumps because it's like so powerful. And it's just the science of it, right? We all have an electromagnetic field. Everything has an electromagnetic field. We leave a little bit of field when we
Stop,
experience a
stop, stop.
trauma.
I think it's
Mm.
your headpiece. Because every time you move your
Mm.
hands, it's like,
Okay. How does this help? Not really. Okay. I wish
that's
I could
better.
just do it. Oh
That's
yeah.
much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I could also change to a computer that doesn't have a video if we could put me on there twice. I don't know. Anyway.
I think I can put you on there twice if you click the link. But I mean, right now, honestly, even that's better. I think the
Okay.
movement
Cool.
was making it choppy. So continue. I'm sorry.
Heard. You're good. I'm so fidgety. Yeah, just helping people call themselves back in when they don't believe they have a soul, and having there be clear shift in that. Um, and that's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, go to the computer. Because I want to hear
Okay.
what you're saying, and it's not
Yes.
happening. And it's killing my soul. Like,
Yeah.
I want to reclaim my soul too.
Memento. Okay.
Just click on the same link.
Can you still see me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you. We are having some technical difficulties, but take the time to ask some questions right there. I could actually see the comments. So if you have a comment or a question, then just type it in there. And I will be able to see it. Laura, what was your question? Hold on. Today is just that day, and we're just going to accept that these things happen.
Okay. Why is it so hot?
Do you want me to send the link again? Oh my God. It can absolutely be that she's just saying hello. Not every single supernatural visit or ancestral visit is about some like ominous warning. It could literally just be like, hey, so you're open to my energy and you want me to be around and you've invited that space. So she's just there to let you know, hey, I am around and I'm comfortable with being here. So, like, trust that. Like, she's just here to say hello. If that should shift, you're going to know that. You're welcome. And Saber is getting onto a computer, so their connection is better and stronger because um, that's just important because what they have to say is important. Technical difficulties is so interesting, so odd. You have any other questions, Laura? Because I know before you were like full of questions, so you may as well ask them now while we're having a little bit of lag in the moment. Plus, it keeps the conversation flowing. As we are waiting on Saber. Oh, well, the season is now Leo season, honey. They're here. It's happening right now. What exactly are you asking? You talking about like the new moon? Usually the moon energies, like whether it's like full or new, I kind of rock with using that energy within those 2 to 3 days before it completely transitions out of that actual position. Does that make sense? I hope that was a little bit clear, or at least what you were looking for. If not, just ask it again. Yep, 2 to 3 days. So you could do like your manifestation rituals. You can kind of sit in there. Usually, like what I like to do on the first day of something is I will sit with that energy and kind of think on what am I trying to manifest, right? Because like in the new moon is when I think about what I'm trying to grow, and the full moon is what I think about what I'm trying to release. So I'll sit down and I'll be like, okay, what do I need to focus on? This is what I'm trying to bring up for the next 2 weeks, right? Because that cycle happens every 2 weeks. And so I focus on my immediate goals. I have my long term goals, but like within those 2 week periods, I think of like my immediate stuff that I'm trying to get done. And then I work on doing it in that kind of way. You're welcome. Absolutely. And then you get clear on it, like so by that time, then that first day, and then by day two or what have you, you could be doing something if you have a manifestation ritual that you like. If you do candles, if you burn something, whatever that may be, you would do it and you'd still be within that time frame, if that makes sense. Okay, Saber is almost back. And let me say something else. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. That would be really a great idea. That would be so much fun. And then you would, like, if that's what you're trying to bring up, like, okay, well, I want to get my music out there more, like set that intention. I want to get more followers, whatever that is going to be like absolutely. And TikTok for me has been an absolutely wonderful platform. The reason why I shifted to here today was because, like I said, Saber, apparently you need 1,000 people to go live, and Saber did not have 1,000 people. So we will do that as soon as they get that amount of people on there. But yes, absolutely great platform. Hold on, somebody's messaging me. Oh, somebody asked me to send. People want me to do all of these things. Like, I am not that technically savvy to send a link. Oh my God. I don't know. Let me see if I can do that. Huh. I think I can. I'm going to try. And Saber is back. So I'm going to add them to the stream. Yay. Wait, I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. This is really wild. But it is what it is. Oh, I think I heard a noise. Could be my kids on the side. I'm sorry, y'all. Saber, you gotta get your ass out of the country, okay? Because your connection, I still can't hear you. I'm so done with your connection. Okay, I heard a noise, but that was it. Ooh, there's something happening. I'm breaking up with you, Saber. I'm breaking up. It's over. No, I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. Like, obviously, you can hear me. What the fuck? Is your computer muted? Okay, let's hang up and try to reconnect.